trade the key in, open mic, and cue the talents.
Welcome to Shots Fired. I'm your host, Logan Ovart, and today we're going to take a look at the DSLR camera. We're all going to learn about this amazing camera. With me today is my good friend Justin Deering. What's up, bro?
Not much. Thanks for having me today, Logan. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. All right, so tell all the peeps in the world about yourself.
Well, right now I'm the marketing and multimedia specialist for Mansfield ISD. So what that means is pretty much any kind of external marketing we do, whether it's billboards, graphic design, print ads, movie theater ads, videos for YouTube, website, all that stuff kind of falls under my umbrella. It's kind of what I spend my days doing is making movies and making films about a school district.
Is it fun?
It is. We have a lot of fun. We get to go do different things. Like last week we had Prairie View A&M come in, and if you know anything about them, they have a very famous band that just puts on an amazing halftime show, and they came up to our stadium, and we had the opportunity to film them and interview them, put a news package together, and send it out. And we've gotten a really good feedback from that video we did in that partnership they just signed with our district.
That's cool. So you're in that job. What are some of the past jobs that you've held in the industry?
Well, let's see. Straight out of college, I went into radio broadcasting. That was my dream. It was always kind of my goal. I wanted to be a famous sportscaster. I wanted to be on the radio, do play-by-play, do all the Ranger games, Cowboy games. And I got hired on into a radio station out in Gainesville, Texas, and it was insanely small. It was in a broom closet. Like, it seriously was microphone, wall, door. And we did a sports show there for about 4 years, got some decent ratings, and then as it goes in most radio stations, if the format changes, so does the talent. So we moved on, and I ended up at Channel 11 CBS here in Fort Worth doing sports writing, camera work, teleprompter. And while I was doing that, I was also working for the Texas Rangers doing their Jumbotron, their camera work, some of their graphics and things like that. So I got to spend the years that they made their first 2 World Series runs with them, so we got to do some really cool stuff. We were on this field during the games. Just a lot of fun, just stuff you didn't think you'd ever do. And then it just kind of, the door opened up, and that's what happened.
Cool. What made you want to pursue a career in video?
Well, like I said, I wanted to do sports broadcasting. That's always been what I wanted to do. I played baseball, played football in high school. Injuries and not being all that great at them, I guess, kind of set me back to where I wasn't going to be a professional athlete. So I figured I wanted to do something with sports. So I started going to a video production class, much like you were in and you're in right now, and I learned that I could still be involved in sports, I could still be involved in movies, and the teacher I had then, who I followed through his entire career, he's been a mentor to me. He kind of set me on the path. I went to UNT and studied at UNT for 5 years, got my degree and started that. But it's always just been the idea of making something that 1 million people will watch. That's always been a goal, is I want to make something that 1 million people will watch. I want to make something that somebody watches and that kind of changes their opinion on something. So it was just that passion, I guess, to get me going in film.
That's cool. What made you want to go into education and work for a school district?
Teaching-wise, there's 2 reasons. The first one's a very selfish reason. It was more money than I was making at that time. At that time, I wasn't making a ton of money, and I did not want to live with my parents anymore. So I was like, yeah, let's teach. And then I got involved with the students, and I realized that changing lives and helping students see their passion. I'd already been on the radio. I'd already made some short films and done some really cool things with local sports teams and things like that, and I figured it was my turn to help someone else get to that point. So that really got me started.
Is there any money to be made in the video industry?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really feel that, it's a process. You're not going to go, there's very few people that walk out of their college class with their degree in hand or just walk straight into a TV station or film production company and just, here's $1 million check, we're just going to hand you a check. There's very few people that do that. You got to work from the bottom. You got to start and just put your time in. If it's radio, you're going to start most likely in a small market making a little bit of money, and you're going to work your way up. And if you get into one of those top 5 markets, TV or radio, yeah, there's definitely money to be made.
Do you miss being a teacher?
Some days yes, other days no. There's definitely things about being a teacher that's awesome, like getting off at 2:30, having 2.5 months off in the middle of the year. That's really fun. But there's other days where I miss doing stuff like this. This is stuff that we would do all the time when I was a teacher, just hands-on, really working with the students. So there's definitely days I miss it, definitely days I don't.
Do you really enjoy your new job? Like, do you foresee you doing that, like, say, 15 years down the road?
Oh yeah, I think that's just the next step in my career was to go into an administration role. And I can't tell you if I'll be in this office for 5 years. I can't tell you if I'll move up a little bit, 10 years, whatever that may be. But I do know that education's where I will be for the rest of my career. I may be a principal someday, who knows? So kind of thought about that, going back to the campus and being an actual principal and seeing how that goes. So.
All right. Well, I want to be sure and give you plenty of time to teach the people out there about the camera and the other equipment that you brought with you. Also, as just an FYI for all the peeps, he uses this camera on a daily basis at the job that we were just talking about. And if you want to see some of his work on YouTube, search up Mansfield ISD, or on the Google, search up Only Son Media Co., which is his media company that he owns. Take it away.
All right, so what I brought with me today was basically my news package that I carry around at work. Now I have my own personal camera at my house that I use for weddings and anything I may get hired freelance. But this one is simply usually my interview and my basically news package. It's a basic DSLR. It is a Canon 5D Mark II with a 24-105 lens on it. This is the only lens we currently are running with at Mansfield ISD, but if you're shooting more film style, you're shooting more of the creative stuff, you may want to look into a 50mm 1.4 lens because it opens up a little more and has a little more of a cinematic look. Carry 2 mics at all time, shotgun mics, because if one of them goes dead or breaks, this one has been known to break quite a few times, so started bringing my own from home. And then finally, or not finally, but other batteries, lavalier mics, and then Logan, hold those.
All right.
The most important thing, obviously, is I bring some batteries because you will get out there and you will run out of batteries and your camera will die and you will be up a creek pretty much if you don't have those extra batteries.
Cool. You ever had to run to CVS get batteries on film sites before?
I've sent this guy to do it before multiple times where we were working together on projects back in the day and we'd look up and we wouldn't have what we needed, so we would go and send Logan to the store to get them. So if you're doing a live event, or a multiple person interview, me personally, I like to use a shotgun mic if it's in more of a controlled area because it sounds a little better than this mic in my opinion. But if you're doing a quiet interview, sit down, you just mic them up, sit them down and go after it. So just plugged it in and we are powered on. The DSLR, you always want to check your aperture, check your shutter speed, always double your frame rate. If you're shooting in 24, which is more of a cinematic look, you'll want to go with a 50 on the shutter speed. And then if you were shooting in 30, you go on a 60 because it's doubled. The different mics I have, like I said, the shotgun mic, the lavalier mic, they cover me pretty well all day, every day at work, from in the classroom with kindergartners all the way up to interviewing football players before we head out for our playoff run. That is what I carry in my bag every day, along with my tripod, and right now there's no plate in it because now that I'm not teaching anymore, I keep my plate on my camera at all times so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, that's what I carry with me every day, Logan.
Is your camera, do you have an extra battery on it, or do you just have the stock battery?
I carry with the battery grip, so I have 2 in there at all times, and then I keep about 6 charged in my bag at all times because there's multiple times where I will leave my office at 8:15 and not get back till 4:30 and shoot for about 4 hours to 5 hours of straight up raw footage between that, so I do need a ton of batteries.
What kind of computer and what editing program do you use?
Well, when I got my job, I got there and they had a Mac Pro from the late 90s, early 2000s. It sounded like a plane was taking off every time I turned it on, so I was getting a little scared, and I said, hey, if you want quick turnarounds, we need a new one. So I got the brand new Mac Pro that looks like a trash can with dual screens set up. It's pretty sweet, but it works very well for what we're doing.
All right. Well, bro, that was sick. I learned so much from your demo. How did you learn about the DSLR?
Be honest, when I was in college, DSLRs were for taking pictures. They were not for doing videos. So honestly, the way I learned the most about DSLRs is I picked one up, I turned it on, I started shooting with it, and then I went to YouTube. Because the first time I shot, it looked like absolute, just horrible. You couldn't use it, couldn't edit with it. So I went to YouTube, and if you type in how to use a DSLR camera and make it look pretty, you'll find a great tutorial.
Cool.
A couple of them. There's quite a few on there. So.
All right. Well, it looks like that's all the time we got for today's show. Thanks for watching Shots Fired, and we will see you next time.
tape.